All right. Hello, everyone. We're glad you could join us today. Um, we have a great presentation for you. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in so we can get things started right away. My name is Jay Brook. I head up our customer success team here at threatER. I'm joined by my colleague, Marie Knight, product manager on our product development team. We're excited to be with you today to speak about a key issue that all security professionals face: unexpected blocks. Before we do, for those joining us today who aren't current customers, I'd like to take a minute to share a quick overview of our Enforce software. As all of us know, there are a lot of bad guys out there doing bad things, and you don't want them anywhere near your data. They're almost always repeat offenders. When a police officer detains someone, what's the first thing they do? They check their record, because most of the time they've done this before, and they'll do it again and again and again. There are millions of bad actors flagged by the threat intelligence community and added to this massive and dynamic data set of known threats. The problem is the amount of threat intelligence is impossible for any firewall to ingest and enforce. And this is the problem that threatER solves, assisting you by using threat intelligence at scale in a way no one else can to block all known threats. And at the same time, you'll see a huge jump in efficiency in your firewall. It will no longer waste resources doing deep packet inspection on traffic that shouldn't be there in the first place, traffic that is now blocked by threatER before even reaching your firewall. At threatER, we tackle the issue of unexpected blocks head on. Unexpected blocks is an umbrella term for false positives, misunderstood indicators, and malicious traffic that block a site you weren't expecting to be blocked. While many use the terms false positive and unexpected block interchangeably, false positives are actually only one kind of unexpected block. Thus, the unexpected block should not automatically be treated as safe. We understand these issues can be frustrating, but it's important to note that this isn't a bad thing. It means you have a secure network. Sometimes we need to use the tools we have to keep things secure while using the available features in those tools to balance security with needed access. Last month, we published a blog post with an accompanying video written and recorded by yours truly. In the video, I share steps found in our handy documentation on mitigating issues when a website is blocked unexpectedly. At the beginning of the video, I reference a great feature available in our threatER portal. This feature is designed to help our customers troubleshoot any issues with unexpected blocks that may arise. Maria is here to share a demo of this feature with us. After her demo, we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about mitigating unexpected blocks with threatER. So please feel free to submit your questions and comments at any time. Marie, the floor is yours.
Great, thanks, Jay. Okay, give me 1 second to share my screen. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Like Jay said, my name is Marie Knight. I'm a product manager here at threatER. Since releasing our unexpected blocks feature back in March, we've made several enhancements based on the feedback we received. These enhancements include how the block events are presented, as well as new mitigation strategies to make it easier for you to act upon a problematic IP event. So we'll get started by first submitting a log analysis. You can submit one with the default parameters of last 3 hours and all enforcers, just like I did, or you can choose to select a different date and time range, or you can choose an individual enforcer, or if on your account you have several, you can choose 2 or more. It's up to you on what you want to query. The time to get the results will vary based on a few things, such as the parameters you selected, your network activity and connection, and the resources of your enforcers. The progress of your analysis is available here on this tab. You can navigate away and perform other functions within the application while this analysis is processing. But if you do log out or close your browser, your results will not complete. So I just want to make you aware of that. So as everything is processing, you'll continue to receive status notifications on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, what you saw pop up. The enforcers that you queried the logs on, the status will display here. We already have one that's reporting back. We're just waiting on the second one here, so we'll give that a minute. So as this is loading, again, you can continue to go away, do other things. So, and for some reason, it takes a little bit extra longer. So you will get the notification that things are complete. And here in this card here, you will see that status update. We provide the range that you queried the logs on, and then you'll see a status for each of the enforcers. We provide the existing log range for what's available for that individual enforcer, and that range can be within or outside of your search parameters. If for some reason there was a failure in retrieving the logs, instead of seeing this nice green check mark, you will see a red icon, and we will also provide an error message, and that will help you to troubleshoot things on your end. All right, so below this status card, we have our block events that were returned. The log entries that are returned and displayed here are only outbound port 80 and 443 traffic logs that your enforcers blocked. We do not return inbound traffic, allowed traffic, or traffic from other ports. Also, a maximum of 1,000 entries per enforcer will be returned. All right, so taking a look at this table, one of the biggest updates we made to this feature is by default, we've consolidated duplicate IPs into groups. And these groups are listed in descending chronological order. You also have the option to sort either by reverse order on date, or you can also sort on the address group as well if you prefer that. Up here in the header row, there are several pieces of data for each IP group. Under each IP, you will see the event count, and this is the number of unique events that were returned for that IP in the log set. We have this info icon here. If you click on that, that is providing extended information that we have on this IP. So this can include country, ASN, reverse DNS, who is extended, and any allow lists that the IP may have been found on. So here we have several pieces of data coming back, which is nice. I do want to point out, though, that in some cases, reverse DNS and the basic whois data may not be available for the entry. And if there is an allow list that is included here, it just indicates that the IP was found on the list, but the corresponding set of IP events were indeed still blocked. As you're looking at this data, it is common to find that some of it can conflict. So for example, your country and ASN information may differ across the various sources. These deltas can actually assist you in making a more informed decision about what you want to choose to allow. I'm going to close this up for a second here. This header row will also include the date range of the first and last log timestamp for the IP in the queried range. We display the enforcer or enforcers that block the IP event, and any block and threat list that the IP was found on. So just looking at what's come back here, you will notice that for several of these IPs, it was flagged on more than one list. By default, we show 3 lists. If the IP was contained on more lists, we roll that up. You just click here on this arrow, and it'll expand and show you every single list that that IP was found on. Another great enhancement that we've made is if the IP was included on a threat list, we are showing you the category it was flagged as, the score from that threat list, and then the threshold that you had set in the outbound blocking policy for that threat category. You will see here we have some red icons. So these red warning icons will display next to fraudulent activity and proxy VPN if the threshold set on these categories is less than 97. So our threat intelligence has found that these 2 categories are the most likely source of unexpected blocks. So if you're experiencing issues with unexpected blocks, setting these 2 categories to 97 can help alleviate some of the issues you may be having. So a couple other things I'd like to point out. This header row is a roll-up of the child event, of all the data from the child events. If you want to view the child events, just click on the chevron here and it'll show each and every single event. And again, I'm going to pick a different example out as more. So this header row has 2 lists that it was on. Some in the individual child events, it may be that at that particular timestamp, it was only found on maybe web root or just domain tools. So again, this header row is a roll-up of the data. Also, if you see a category listed more than once in that header row, it's to indicate that maybe at a different time within the child events, that particular IP was flagged with a different score, or maybe during that queried log range, you had changed your thresholds, and then we will also indicate that difference there. If you prefer viewing all of your block events by timestamp versus this grouped view, you can click on this icon that's at the top here of the address group column. And then that will display all events in reverse chronological order. Okay. I'm going to go back. We are also providing you with optional columns for data for you to view. And to do that, you click on this icon at the top right up over here, and you can view the acting policy that blocked the IP, and you can also view the reason why the IP was blocked. So right here, we see that most of these were blocked either because of the threat list or block list. I'm going to scroll down. In some cases, you will see that the IP was blocked due to country. If you want to narrow down the results in your query, we have some discriminators up here for you to play around with. If you want to hone in on a specific time range, you can do that here. I do just want to remind you that filtering within this time range is filtering within what you had originally queried. So, I did last 3 hours, so I can search, within a very specific window within those 3 hours. But if for some reason I want to look at something from like 10 hours ago, I will have to submit another query. You can also narrow down by enforcer, look at a particular list and see, what list blocks certain IPs, and then also categories. All right, so I think we've covered pretty well the updates that we've made to the table itself and the data that we are providing you. So I think it's time to move on to our mitigation strategies. So once you've identified the IP that you want to take action on, we have strategies available for you to move forward with. And so to do so, you can come over here on the far right column, and we have this mitigate button. This is available both here at the roll-up level, and it's also available at the individual child event level. So you will be presented with up to 3 options, and only mitigation strategies that are relevant to the particular event or event set will be displayed. So it is quite possible that you will see less than 3. All right, so I'm going to just click on this one here. Okay, the strategy that will always be available to you is the option to add the IP to a manual allow list. This mitigation option has always been available since the feature was first released, and it gives you the flexibility to set an expiration date for the IP or remove the IP from your manual allow list at a later date. So if this is a strategy that you're going to move forward with, you click on add, and here on the next step, you will be presented with the manual allow list that you have set up on your account. Next to each list name is a color-coded pip, and these each mean something different. So I'm going to go through this real quickly. The green pip means that this is the list that was enforced by the policy that blocked the IP, and adding the IP to this list will allow it through the networks enforced by this policy. Gray means that the list is not enforced by the policy that blocked the IP address. So if you add it to this list, it will be allowed on the networks that are enforced by that policy. And then red indicates that this list is not enforced by any of your policies. So if you add the IP to this list, it will continue to be blocked until the list is added to a policy of interest. So I, of course, want this green one, so I'm going to select that. Over here, you can make edits to the IP entry. We have defaults built in place, but of course, it's up to you if you want to change that. The default mask bits is 32. We put in a default script description of added by unexpected blocks, but we do encourage you and recommend that you add a description that is more meaningful to you, such as tying it to a requesting end user, the website, or discovery date. Never is the default expiration, but again, we always recommend that you time bound this. So over here is your work order of what you're going to do. So you are choosing to add this particular IP address to this allow IP outbound manual allow list, and then that will be enforced by the policy it is assigned to. So I'm going to keep everything as is. This is what I want to move forward with. I'm going to click add. I'll get a notification that this was successful. And now that IP is added to that manual allow list, and it will be enforced by the policy that that list is assigned to. All right, so now give me a second to go through. I'm going to find a couple of examples of our other strategies that are available. I'm actually going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use our discriminators up here. Like I said before, this will include all block and threat lists that came back in the results, but we will also return any our threatER out of the box allow lists. Again, if an IP was found on these lists, but it comes back in these results, it was indeed blocked, but we are just letting you know that's on this list. So I'm going to choose Amazon CloudFront. And I'm going to go to this entry here. I'm going to pull this up. Again, we have our add IP to a manual allow list as an option to choose to move forward with, but we also have an option to enable the threatER out of the box allow list. So in this case, it's Amazon CloudFront. There could be a case where an IP is on multiple lists, and if so, that will be displayed here. just want to point out, Amazon CloudFront is a CDN list. And so if something is a CDN list, we do put this note here, just making you aware, due to the nature of CDNs, it could increase your, attack surface. So just, keep that in mind as you're moving forward. So if this is the mitigation strategy that you want to take, click on enable. On this next step here, you choose the list. Again, if it was on multiple lists, all would be available, and then you have the option to choose which ones. The outbound blocking policy is selected by default, but the other policies on your account are available for you to select to enable that list on. And then over here on the far right, again, we have our work order. So in this case, you're choosing to enable Amazon CloudFront on this particular outbound policy. Again, we're just giving you that warning that this is a CDN list. All right, so I'm ready to move forward. I'm going to click enable and get my message that this is successful. All right, let me just reset some things here. All right, now we're going to look for our third mitigation strategy. Here's a great one. Okay, let me go back to here. So adjust thresholds will be present if an IP meets the following criteria. It's on a threat list, categorized as fraudulent activity and/or proxy VPN, and the thresholds on the outbound blocking policy for either of those two categories is less than 97. So in this case, once again, we have our option to add it to a manual allow list, but we also have the option to adjust our thresholds. So I'm going to click here. And on this next step, once again, the outbound blocking policy is selected by default. And then we have our work order. So for this mitigation strategy, you are going to be choosing to adjust fraudulent activity and proxy VPN to a threshold of 97, and you are doing so on this particular outbound policy. So I'm ready to move forward with that. I'm going to click adjust, get my little success message. So now both of those two categories, fraudulent activity and proxy VPN, are set to 97 on the applicable policy, and they are enforced accordingly. So I do want to point out that if the IP meets the above criteria I just went through for that adjust thresholds, but it's also flagged with a category and score that is above your set threshold, that option will not be presented. And here's a good example here. So right here we have, both of those categories, fraud activity and proxy VPN. Those are flagged, but it's also flagged as endpoint exploits, and it's with a score that's above your threshold. So we aren't going to present the adjust thresholds option to you on this one, but in this case, the two others are. All right, so those are the three mitigation strategies that are now available in the threatER portal. Again, every IP event may not have all three available, but if more than one option is available to you, the beauty of this feature is that you have the flexibility to make the decision that best suits your organization. So we encourage you to review the data that is being presented to you and move forward as you see fit.
And Marie, Marie, we had a quick question in the chat. This is a good time, I think, to reiterate it. And I think the question was actually answered, and he recognized that, but I just want to make sure it kind of clicked for everyone. So when there's an entry that has no category score threshold listed, obviously that means it was not on a threat list. But in that case, there will still at least be that one mitigation strategy,
correct,
which will be to allow to the allow list, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So we don't have, you said, here's a good example. Yep.
Perfect.
So this strategy is available all the time. You will always see this one, and then depending on what, the use case for all the others will depend on if the other two are available to you. Yes, adding the IP to an allow list is always available.
And usually when it turns up like that, it's because the IP was blocked due to the country of origin or country that the IP is hosted in. So that is probably the most usual case there. Hey, we have one more question that while we're here in the UI, I think it would be good to address, which is the question of recommending the threshold of 97 for fraudulent activity and proxy VPN. Was there a specific reason for that number? Do you have a specific reason for that number, Marie?
It was just based on the threat intelligence that we've collected on our end. And again, that's not a solution that works for everybody. But if, your organization is dealing with a lot of unexpected blocks and you feel comfortable moving forward with setting to 97, you should see a decrease in that behavior.
And I think that's really kind of us taking a look at the threat data from the threat list and kind of looking at the scores that are the confidence scores that are associated with the various ones and trying to figure out that sweet spot of where, we can try to make sure you're not having issues. If you're having a lot of issues, especially with those two categories, those tend to be the categories where we see the most issues of unexpected blocks. And so that's where we've found in our testing that I think it's hitting that sweet spot. So awesome. Sorry, keep going, Marie.
No, Jay, actually, that's it. That concludes the demo. So actually, I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go over some key takeaways.
All right.
All right, so just to wrap up, unexpected blocks and false positives, they are not the same. Jay went over that very, very well. And again, we have blog posts and support articles that go over this in more detail. The threatER portal, we hope that you make this your first stop to help with this issue. This should be your first stop. And then this is just one in a series of steps available to help mitigate the issue.
All right. Well, thanks, Marie. We've shown this feature to a lot of customers individually. We've seen a lot of feedback and some great suggestions. So as you guys use this feature, we really encourage you to reach out to myself, to our customer success team, share any feedback you have, suggestions that you may have. We'd really love to hear from you. So we've answered a couple questions already, but we do have a few more questions. Continue to put your questions in the channel if you want, and we'll keep going on that. One question here, which is a very interesting question, which we have is, I do not see the unexpected blocks option feature under Enforce. Do I need to upgrade my software to be able to see this on the portal page?
Yes. So you have to be at least all of your enforcers on your account need to be at least on build 240. But we always recommend and strongly encourage you to stay up to date with the Enforce builds. And the most recent Enforce build is build 254. So again, try to be on 254 or greater, but at a minimum, if you want to see and use the feature, you have to be on at least 240, and all enforcers on your account need to be on 240.
Awesome. So our next question is from a customer who has used the feature, who asks, as we have a lot of traffic, we've had a hard time isolating the log entry that corresponds with the website being blocked. Do you have any suggestions for how we can better locate the IP that's associated with that block connection in the logs that we see?
Yeah, Jay, I know you get this question quite a bit. So one thing we recommend is opening up another browser and just going to that address as several times. Keep in mind what time it is as you're doing that, and then run your query, and you can hone in on that date range, and then also look for multiple occurrences of that IP.
Awesome. So I think we've got time for one more question from our participants, and this is a really interesting question. By the way, keep posting your questions to us. We'll talk to you about that in just a second, but keep putting them there. We're going to get one more question in right now, which is, should I be the only one on my team that knows how to do this? Great question.
No, don't do that to yourself. We strongly encourage all users of the threatER platform to familiarize themselves with this topic. So again, the blog posts, our support articles, everything that Jay mentioned earlier, go read through that, become familiar, get to know this stuff. And then if for anyone on your team that has a threatER portal account, everyone has access to this feature in some sort of capacity. So the read-only users and help desk users, at a minimum, they can run the query and view the data. So they can go through and take a look at what's coming back and really do a deep dive into an analysis and come up with an informed decision. And then our admin and master users have the ability to actually perform the mitigation strategies. So again, everyone familiarize yourself. Please don't be the one person who has to do this all alone. So that's our recommendation to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all of your insight today, Marie, for showing us the unexpected blocks feature in the threatER portal. We're really excited about this feature, and we really think it is a helpful and useful tool as part of our platform. For those of you who have submitted questions that we weren't able to address today, we will be reaching out to you directly to answer those questions and provide further information. Links to the blog post I referenced, along with a recording of the webinar, will be shared with all attendees. I think a link to the blog was already put in the chat as well by Courtney. Please feel free to share the blog post, the documentation, the recording of the call with your colleagues who weren't able to make it. We are also planning on doing additional sessions in the future, not only on this topic, but other great topics. So stay tuned for that. We really appreciate you guys attending today. Thanks for your time, and we hope you have a great day.
Thanks
everybody.
everyone.